How's it going, guys? Welcome back to my Wolves Den. I'm your host, Victor, and here I'm going to be reviewing to you today the Assassin's Creed, excuse me. We have here a typical case of a video game to movie adaptation. Typically those are horrible. We all know how they go down. The end result of this wasn't too bad. I mean, it wasn't the best thing ever, but it's not saving the video game to movie adaptation idea. It's not saving it whatsoever. Alright, so the general plot. It's essentially adapting the first game, Assassin's Creed, with its own little tweaks to it. New cast of characters. Desmond is the main guy in the first handful of Assassin's Creed games. He doesn't exist. Neither do any of the characters in the games. It's a completely new cast, which personally, that's what I was hoping for when they were going to do this. When I first found out about this movie months ago, I was hoping that it was going to be new people instead of just copying the same exact characters and trying to adapt them into real life. I just couldn't see how that was going to work. I was wanting a new crew, so I was happy about that. But man, was this a strange adaptation though. So yeah, exactly like in the first game, Abstergo is using this guy, Michael Fassbender, to use his memories to track his ancestor to find the Apple of Eden. Same exact concept as in the first game. There's no difference as far as that's concerned. There are differences as far as, what happens after the discovery, but I'm not going to spoil any of that. The Animus. I was fine with how it was. It wasn't just a bed that they laid on. It was like a weird arm thing that they were able to physically manipulate their ancestor. That was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool concept. It was a major difference from the games, but it was one that I was able to deal with as a fan of the series, personally. I liked Michael Fassbender. His character could have been a little bit better. I don't blame him for that, though. That was more so the writers and the story. There wasn't too much depth with these characters, honestly. The actors did a perfectly fine job. I can't blame them for any of this. It's just what they had to use. There wasn't much of it. So yeah, Michael Fassbender's character, it starts off him in little boy version, where he's this little skater punk, and he comes home, his mom's killed by his father for some reason. He has to run, skips 30 years in the future. Like what? And he's on death row. And then they inject him with the stuff, and then he wakes up in this facility. It looks like a freaking prison. All the Assassin's Creed fans out there are gonna understand all the ins and outs of what this movie is gonna be doing. Stuff that's positive and negative. But it was a freaking prison facility. It wasn't like a science building like in the game. It was very bleak, very empty. No windows. The only type of technology that was there was the very things that the scientists were using. There weren't something as simple as a TV. Nothing. It was a huge building. There's a camera angle that's on the outside. Big building. There's nothing to it though. The most technologically advanced stuff that's in there are the very computers that the scientists use and the Animus itself. It was just very weird. And the color palette while they were in the real world was very dark. There was no brightness whatsoever. And then there's the segments of the movie that are just like in the games. It gets connected to the Animus, and he's in his ancestor's memory. I'm not gonna spoil names and whatnot, but it's like what you would expect. Some badass ancestor who's an assassin messing stuff up, and it was pretty cool. Some stuff that was a little over the top because it was just a little unnecessary with the way they did the editing, the effects that they did. Some of that could have been left out, and it would have been even better, in my opinion. All in all, those were the best part of the movie. When it comes to the music, it was pretty enjoyable. Especially with the action scenes. It was pretty complimentary to that. Special effects were actually pretty good, though. Not gonna lie, I enjoyed the special effects. They weren't 100% greatest things ever. They're not gonna compete with Avatar or anything like that, but they were pretty cool. It's pretty crazy though. Without spoiling anything, there's a lot of stuff that goes on that if you are actually a fan of the games, you're gonna watch and be like, seriously, what the hell, like, and just little things that if you're just a regular person who's going to see this movie, you're gonna either just flat out be confused or just not notice it. You know, the rest of us who have played the games are gonna notice these things and just ask, what the hell? Because of, this. If you're a fan of the games, that's not good. That's not good at all. Especially considering it's an adaptation of the games. They need to stay true and accurate. And just, and this movie takes itself so seriously. It really does. It was like trying to have this absolute serious tone while using the action to make it fun. And it just didn't work out so well at all. I understand that the games are serious, but those are video games. Those are totally different than a movie. A game can be as serious as it can be. The fun is because of this. You're not doing this with a movie. There was one part where Michael Fassbender's character literally, after a certain thing happened, he literally was like, what the fuck is going on? A few seconds before he said that, I literally thought that to myself. What the fuck is going on in this movie? There were definitely some things within this movie that, because I'm a fan, and I just enjoy going to movies, I was able to forgive. Because I was able to understand those things, and look at this movie as a movie at the same time. But at the same time, there were certain aspects where I just think they need to work on it. Only the fans of the games will understand. Also, when it comes to the characters, though, there just wasn't much of a development with them. You're supposed to care about them, but, there's not much of a reason to do so. Even Michael Fassbender's character, as the main character, there wasn't much of a reason for me to root for the guy. There wasn't a reason to root against him, but there wasn't a reason to root for him either. It was very weird. And that was the way with everybody, even the bad guys. If you're a fan of the games, you understand why you're supposed to root for and against the certain individuals. But the movie didn't give any reason to do so. I will say this, though. I don't know for sure, but with how it ends, there could be a possibility of a franchise if this movie makes enough money. I'm just saying, it ended with a ... instead of just a flat out, finish. That at least to me, it looked like that. You be the judge if you go to see it, but it just seemed like that to me, that they might, like the games, make a franchise out of it. But we'll see. There is enjoyment from this movie. There is some positives to gain from it. Honestly, I'm mainly looking at it from a fan of the games. I got all of them over here and then a couple more over there, except for Assassin's Creed Rogue. I need that one. But other than that, I got all the games. I'm just looking at it as a fan of the games who went to see this movie instead of just some random person who saw the movies. So I was able to pick it apart pretty easily. But you be the judge. We all have our own opinions. But my final thoughts: it is a fun movie. Lots of flaws that could be fixed, and if they do make a second movie, hopefully they fix those flaws. The end result, I think I'm gonna give it a C-. Not quite a D. Nowhere near close to a B. I think a C- might be fair, because it did have a lot of flaws. I did enjoy it, but it has a lot of flaws to it. So I think if you're a fan of the games, it might be worth seeing ticket price. Otherwise, either wait for it to be at a discount theater or Redbox, maybe, and then you be the opinion from there. But there is some cheap enjoyment from it. I will admit that. So, till next time, I'll see you guys later. Also, just want to quickly acknowledge that whatever video you see after this, or 2 videos maybe, depending on how the editing goes, I'm going to be in a sling. I'm getting surgery as of 9:30 a.m. on December 22nd, which is tomorrow. Right now it's the 21st that I'm doing this filming. So, I'm going to be in a sling for a while, and you're going to see me in a sling for a while. It sucks. So, wish me luck with this. It's going to be annoying, but it is what it is. I got to heal up and get healthy. So,